Welcome back to the nationally syndicated Price of Business show. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Chris Kidd, you know him. He's a longtime regular on the Price of Business show. Delighted to have him with us. He took a break for a while because his life became too busy, too many businesses being bought, too many things going on. But we're glad to have him back, and he's back on a regular basis. Chris, always love having you on. Love talking to you about what you do and how you help mankind and womankind as well, of course, with their financial situation. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and I do want to mention your website, chriskidd, and that's KIDD.com.
Well, I'm a financial coach. That came about because I've, owned several businesses over the years, done pretty well. Relatively speaking, everybody's always done better somewhere. But I did very well with my investments. I had a friend who said, why don't you start a business, teaching this stuff to other people? So the short version is now I do that. I've worked with everywhere from, entertainers to professional athletes to teachers. And even I even worked with a friend of mine's high school son before he was going to college. He wanted me to help him get on the right track and not make some crazy mistakes. But basically, I help teach people how to handle their money better. I don't like managing people's money. I really believe in personal responsibility. And the best way to be more responsible is to understand your money better. So I help people to understand, what their money is doing, be conscious of, how they spend it, and create good habits, and understand what their money's doing when it's invested, and what not to invest in and what not.
Very, very good, very good. Let's talk about the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. Two hot topics, and in fact, this is going to be aired in the beginning of the year based on our calendar, as you well know, and so we'll focus more on that. But a lot of people will be catching this on podcasts before it's even broadcast, and so by all means, they should. The advice will be applicable, be it 2021 or 2022. But, this time of the year, both in the end and the beginning, what are you talking to your clients about?
Really, I'm talking about, the mindset going into 2022, and especially a new client. An old client, a lot of times they're going to be familiar. I mean, at least if they've been with me for a few years, they'll be kind of familiar with that speech and all. But we're just kind of honing in some of the areas for them and things that, a lot of times my older clients that I've had for a while, they know the stuff. It's just they come to me for reinforcement, or when they have a really major situation, they're like, okay, I got to call the kid. That's what one of my guys says. But yeah, so new clients, I'd be talking to them about planning really thoughtfully, where is it that you really want to be in, by the time 2023 gets here? What's your 5-year goal from now? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And what are you going to need to do to break it down into little steps, over this next year and like on a monthly basis? So it's a lot like getting in shape. It works hand in hand, which I know a little bit about that as well. So, I mean, I've got, my guys with my construction company, we, provide a gym membership for them and everything. Some of my guys come work out with me, and they've seen my transition from 20-something%, 26% body fat down to, at times I've been down to 4%. So I'm about 5% right now. It's a lot like that. It's the daily discipline of eating right, of not eating the crap that you want to eat, and delayed gratification, and when it comes to money. Like a lot of times we want something now, but the reward's so much greater if we can delay that gratification.
Yeah, you raise a good point. That translates well as far as discipline in one area, which is essentially what you're talking about, translates well in every area, and so many of us are pleasure driven, and we're short-sighted and we demand immediate gratification. None of those things work long-term wise. And what's interesting about that, and you know this, because we've talked about it before, is the devastating impact those type of things have on our self-esteem. It is saying no to food we don't want. Or rather food that isn't good for us. It is saying no to buying that thing right now when we could put money aside and buy it later, or not buy it at all and buy something that's better. All of those kind of things. A lot of us seem to want good self-esteem, but don't realize that only happens with esteemable behavior. And I've always liked the fact that you've taken a holistic approach about helping people get to be what they want to be.
Yeah, and really, like right now, it's you get the whole Instagram society generation, whatever you want to call it, where people see all this Lamborghinis and Ferraris and the good life and all this stuff that people are going out partying and everything on, flashing money and stuff, which that's fine, and it's nice and fun to enjoy that stuff. But there's so many like young entrepreneurs and young people who they're seeing that and they want it now, rather than there's a price that you have to pay. And what's very, very dangerous, one thing that I was talking with somebody about the other day that it's kind of concerning to me is like with the crypto stuff. There are a lot of overnight millionaires being made. And I'm talking about literally overnight. Some of this stuff, there's people who are there's some people who understand it and they are investing, and then there's some people who are jumping on the bandwagon and they don't know what the heck they're doing. They're just throwing money and stuff. And, I've always said, the worst thing that you can do when you don't know what you're doing is you get lucky and make money. Because if you do something stupid and you make money while you're doing it, you're going to repeat that mistake, and you might repeat it on a much bigger level later, and you could end up losing everything that you just made. So a lot of people who are coming into all this money, they need to understand what to do with that money, and not just say, hey, I'm a financial god now because I made $1 million in the last 30 days on the latest crypto. So
right.
It doesn't make you a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here today, gone tomorrow. In that landscape, I've talked to some of the most brilliant minds in the crypto space, and I still don't own any, and I have no intention in the short term to own any. That's for sure. There's still something about it, and I've studied it pretty thoroughly, and it has that sense of Wizard of Oz. Ignore that man behind the screen. It's like, well, it just has, an uncomfortable feel to it. And I talk to some really smart people whom I respect and who are diversified. I don't really, understand anyone who would put all their eggs in that basket, or even any basket as far as that goes. And that's a good segue, as we get near to wrapping up the segment. Diversification. I know you're a fan of that. Also, end-of-year type of things. You got stuff that you're carrying around in your house that you don't want, really use or need. Use it to your tax advantage. What are some other end-of-year type things and early first-of-year things as we wrap up the segment that you want to encourage people to focus on?
That is a great idea. I love that. One, you get the tax advantages. Two, there's people that you can help out there. In fact, that reminds me, I've got stuff that I need to go drop off here pretty soon, and that can do some of that. But that's a great idea. It also helps get stuff out of your house that is just cluttered. And I feel like such a hypocrite talking about this because my office gets cleaned, every couple months, and then it takes about 4 hours for it to get wrecked again. So I'm preaching to myself as well, but reduce the clutter. I mean, if you can get a clutter-free, organized environment that you can think in, that helps so much. Another thing is, like, start journaling, write stuff down, take notes. I always have some kind of notepad and a pen or some way to write something down because I don't remember stuff a lot of times. It's good to write things down and ideas, and then also ideas that you get that are money-making ideas, put it into action now, immediately. Don't sit and wait. I've got a good friend of mine who he says there's two types of people. There's the quick and the disappointed. So, if you don't act on stuff, it passes by.
Yep, that's right. And also, look at the Stoics. I'm a big fan of Stoic philosophy. They call journaling meditations as a way of meditating. In fact, the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is his journaling. And, use that journaling to better you. I'm sorry?
I said I just got through reading that book. I just finished that book.
Use your journaling to better yourself. Talk to yourself about, hey, these are things you've done well. Talk about the things also that you need to do better or things you like to avoid. And and by the way, a lot of our conversation about very flippant, short-term, really materialistic living, they really address those issues as well, they being the Stoics. Because really peace of mind, serenity, really understanding our long-term position, which is we're all dead men and women walking, and not to get so excited about the here and now. All of that is really valuable to be the best person you want to be. So great advice as always, Chris Kidd. You can learn more about him at chriskidd.com, and that is 2 D's on Kidd. Thanks so much, Chris.
Oh, glad to be here.
All right. I am Kevin Price. This is The Price of Business. It's a show that never ends. It continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com, where we are always adding new content, audio, video, articles, and more. While there, make sure you like it on Facebook. Follow at Twitter at Kevin Price Live.